The Deus Ex Machina, or God out of the Machine, as it's known in its English translation, is a term used by filmmakers, screenwriters, in particular perhaps, to identify a technique that is considered generally undesirable in filmmaking, and that is to bestow upon the main characters the solution to their problem without them actually doing anything to achieve it. Now, I say this now because I just watched the scene from Adaptation, which they use that term, and I didn't want to forget how to pronounce it. Deus Ex Machina. It looks like it looks like Deus Ex Machina. That's how it's spelled. I'm bringing this up now because I wanted to talk a little bit about The Adjustment Bureau, which I saw this weekend. It was a movie that I was looking forward to. I'll go over a little bit of what I thought of it generally, but I'm going to be getting into some specific spoilers about the end, so you might want to tune out at that point if you haven't seen the movie already and are planning to. I will give you advance warning when that time comes. The Adjustment Bureau is, of course, a movie that was directed by George Nolfi, who co-scripted a couple of Jason Bourne movies, as I recall, The Bourne Ultimatum. Apparently, they scripted that kind of on the go, which is an interesting feat, and I don't think one that paid off very well. I didn't like The Bourne Ultimatum very much. This movie I liked a lot better. Of course, Matt Damon is the main character. He plays a congressman who, in the very beginning of the movie, is running for Senate, but loses to his much older and more old-fashioned competitor. As he's practicing his concession speech in the bathroom, he runs into a lovely young lady who is a dancer played by Emily Blunt. First thing I have to say positively about this movie is that the two of them make an excellent couple. They are terrific. The scenes they have together are amazing. Fantastic. So kudos to whoever casted her opposite him in this film. So as time goes on, they hit it off, of course, and then he just sort of doesn't see her again because he doesn't know anything about her. But he happens to run into her on the street one day in New York City as he's on his way to his corporate job they took following his failed bid for the Senate. And as it turns out, this was not supposed to happen. And by not supposed to happen, I mean that there is a celestial plan by which he might go on to become a senator one day eventually, and then perhaps ascend to an even higher public office, whereas she is sort of destined to become one of the world's best dancers and most renowned choreographers. But their meeting again and becoming a couple would obliterate that possibility. The path that they take in their respective lives precludes the possibility of them having a relationship. And this is enforced by a bunch of guys in hats who could be seen as angels, perhaps, guiding people towards their destiny. Some of the people who play these guys are, I forget the name of the actor, but he's the head of the ad firm in Mad Men, and Anthony Mackie. He's the one we see the most of. He was in The Hurt Locker with Jeremy Renner. Due to a little mishap, Anthony Mackie fails to prevent Matt Damon and Emily Blunt from meeting a second time, which they were not supposed to do, and as a result, their paths are now going on the wrong course. Now, there's talk of an individual known as the chairman in the celestial organization, who is the one who's mapping out the plans, and it's up to these guys to make sure that everyone sort of follows the right path. God, perhaps, maybe? Something like that. It's all sort of ambiguous, but, if you're looking for it, there is a lot of religious subtext in there. So what happens is Matt Damon actually discovers that these guys exist, which he wasn't supposed to do. And he discovers that they have these plans they're trying to enforce. They're trying to put people along a different path, one that benefits humanity as opposed to them as individuals. Terence Stamp is also one of the mysterious men in hats and coats who explains to him that they have tried on occasion to sort of let humanity take their own path, and just leave it up to them without them guiding them. But that has resulted in a number of rather unfortunate incidents in human history. So they sort of keep an eye on everybody and nudge them in the right direction. Now, I wanted to get a little bit into the ending here. So if you don't want to know about the ending, you haven't seen it, you want to see it, I would tune out at this point. Just know that I do actually like this film, generally, overall, and find it an interesting concept. So now, as for the ending, what happens in the end, for those of you who've obviously already seen the movie, because you're watching right now, they wind up at the top of the Rockwell building in New York City, and they're trapped. And they're trapped by the guys who want to erase Matt Damon's memory, because they made him promise not to talk about these guys, and of course that's exactly what he did when he revealed them to Emily Blunt, and they go on the run. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, they're going to grab him and wipe his memory, and then they're going to present her with the choice to either clam up and not talk with people about what she has learned about the true nature of the universe, or she can, get her memory wiped as well. But that doesn't happen. Instead, at the last minute, the chairman, aka God, sends his angels last-minute orders not to separate them, but to he's going to rewrite the plan for the universe so that they can be together, and hopefully things will work out that way. And so basically, he just hands them their happy ending. I wasn't thrilled by this. It's great and everything that they get to stay together in the end, but it's not what I was hoping for. I have a particular favorite genre of, it's more of a sub-genre, actually. Genre, of course, is like a drama or a comedy or a horror film or a science fiction film. A subgenre could be a science fiction, a comedy, like, for example, Back to the Future is a science fiction comedy, or perhaps a science fiction horror film like Alien, or a science fiction action picture like Aliens, or any number of different, big blockbusters like that. X-Men is a science fiction action film, I guess you could say. There's also sci-fi romance, and a subgenre that could be the tragic sci-fi romance, which is something that I've been a fan of ever since I saw the first Terminator film back in the 80s. And I was kind of hoping that the Adjustment Bureau, judging by what I knew about that, would turn out to be one of those films, but it isn't, because like I said, the God character just hands them their happy ending. And though they were, Matt Damon chose to, he has this line in the movie where he says, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, even if my life isn't going to be that much longer. He's expecting these guys to catch up to him at some point and grab him and wipe his memory so that he isn't himself anymore. And he can't, talk to anybody about what he's learned. But they change their minds at the last minute and say, no, you guys can be together, it's cool. And that was a little bit disappointing. I like the movie overall, but and there's a lot of interesting stuff in it, good acting, but ultimately I was not pleased by, the way that they, like I said, just sort of handed them their happy ending without them having to really do anything else. The acting's all very good, but yeah, I was a little disappointed by that. And I read, actually, after I saw the movie, that they did some reshooting on it. I think they actually did reshoot the ending, so presumably the original ending was more tragic. I can imagine an alternate ending where he basically leaps off the building because he doesn't like either choice, and she's left there going, he just jumped off the building and killed himself. But the ending that I would have preferred to go with was, once they're all surrounded, he gets taken away by the men in the hats, and Anthony Mackie or whomever comes to Emily Blunt and says, so, now that you know about us, you have two choices. You can either never speak about us to anybody for the rest of your life, or we can wipe your memory too. I'll give you a few minutes to think it over. And then he leaves and leaves her on the roof of the building with her looking out over the city, her world just completely turned upside down, trying to figure out what her next move is, and the movie would end there. That would be my choice anyway. So, yeah, The Adjustment Bureau, one of the few, finally a movie that I was actually looking forward to seeing. It's been, a couple months since Blue Valentine came out, and I haven't really been interested in seeing much of anything that's come out in the intervening period. But yeah, Worth it, well worth it to me. And I saw Rango as well, which is a lot of fun. Over the next month, I'm going to be doing a series of videos on films that I've appreciated this genre for. That sentence didn't make sense, sorry. As I said before, my favorite sub-genre is the tragic sci-fi romance, And there are a number of films that fit in this category that I've enjoyed quite a bit over the years, and so I was going to make a video about each of them, as well as a few other movies that almost fit in that category, but not quite. Yeah, over the course of March, I'll be doing that. So you have that to look forward to. In addition, V. Rose and I are going to be continuing on with our Scorsese series. We have like 4 more movies to go. So thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later.